The death of Marquette teen Jordan DeMay last year continues to spark important conversations here in the Upper Peninsula and across the country. His story has been shared thousands of times, the impacts being felt in homes, communities near and far, and by those who loved and knew Jordan. Jordan's story shook us as parents, as educators, as human beings.
That night, I last spoke to him on FaceTime. Said goodnight as normal. In the morning, it was a normal morning for me as I got up with my kids. I had seen a text from Jordan during the night, and I sent him a text just asking how he was and telling him I hoped he had a good day, and he didn't respond. And when he didn't respond, I knew that something wasn't right. And so I contacted Jordan's dad, and things just escalated from there as we found out what had happened in that 6-hour period the night before.
Jordan died by suicide on March 25th, 2022, after an exchange we've just learned more about in the last month. 3 Nigerian men are charged with creating a fake account on Instagram and using a sexually explicit photo sent by Jordan to blackmail him into sending them money. We now know that when Jordan didn't send enough money, these men threatened to share the photo with his family and friends, pushing Jordan to take his own life. It's called sextortion, and it's far more common than we may have ever realized. The men in Jordan's case are awaiting extradition to the United States to face charges. It will be a long legal process and one we will certainly follow. But in the meantime, Jordan's story continues to make an impact, and it's important we keep this conversation going. Last week, on what would have been Jordan's 19th birthday, I sat down with Jordan's mother, Jennifer Buda, as she talked very openly about her son grieving his death and her fight to help other kids. The stories and the memories of Jennifer Buda's son, Jordan DeMay, come without effort. Walking along the football field where he spent so much time, Jennifer smiles, talking about senior photos, track meets, and who he was as a person and as her son.
Jordan was a really social individual. He had many groups of friends. He was kind to everyone. He would be the kid who came into the room and flashed a smile or was dancing to the music, goofing off in the locker room. But he was also really close to his families and had a deep love for his sisters. We were very close, very close. Yeah.
Jennifer recalls traveling for sports together, listening to music, shopping, goofing off, just having conversations in the kitchen, at night before bed, doing the simple things together like aligning their schedules. It's those quiet moments, the ones you don't realize are so precious, she seems to miss the most.
I wish he were here today to celebrate his birthday and we could go to the beach like he would want to. I miss him every single day.
It's been over a year since Jordan died by suicide. She says life since that day has been overwhelming, emotional, nearly too much to comprehend.
A year ago, I said I would live life for Jordan, and we have to make something meaningful come of this horrible situation. And if we can save one life, then what happened to him means something.
She may never be able to quantify the lives Jordan's story saves, but the way the conversation has changed around sextortion, suicide, and social media, it's impossible to not feel the impact, and it solidifies the decision to be upfront and forward about what happened to Jordan. Why? Why did you decide to just come forward with it rather than stay quiet?
If it could happen to Jordan, it could happen to anyone. I wanted to prevent any other child from being victimized and put that out there. As parents, if we didn't know about sextortion, we were certain that other parents didn't know about it either, and it was time to sit down and have a conversation.
And those conversations are happening here in the Upper Peninsula and across the country. Jennifer has heard from parents as far away as Georgia. She's felt pride, knowing that parents are sitting down and engaging with their kids in new ways because of Jordan.
For me, as a mother of a little boy, I hadn't had a conversation like that with my son, but you bet I did as soon as I read your story and read about Jordan. And so I can only imagine there have been a lot of those kinds of moments where people have reached out. I mean, are you getting that kind of a response?
Definitely. We get messages all the time from parents. It definitely sparked conversations that parents would not have had with their children. And also let children know that if this did happen, it's okay to go to your parents and ask them for help in this situation.
It doesn't take away her loss. It doesn't fill the void. But it does keep her moving forward to see her son's legacy form into a meaningful and powerful force. Tomorrow we continue the conversation. The Online Child Protection Act, the push by Jennifer to get it passed, the support the bill is receiving, and how it serves not as a fix-all, but as a starting point to protecting our children from online predators. Jordan's story changed the conversation, created momentum, and now it's up to all of us to ensure what happened to him and his family doesn't happen to others. Sextortion, it's a crime we've learned so much about in the last year after Marquette teen Jordan DeMay, caught in a scam, died by suicide. Investigators are calling it a landmark case, as 3 Nigerian men are now awaiting extradition to the United States on charges related to the sextortion of Jordan DeMay. Catching these predators is rare. They're typically overseas, creating a challenging web of jurisdictions, red tape, and a complex cyber trail. But in Jordan's case, local law enforcement did it right, credited with quickly tracking down IP addresses and information vital in learning the location and names of the 3 men charged. On what would have been Jordan's 19th birthday, I sat down with Jennifer Buda, his mother, who is working to make sure what happened to Jordan last year doesn't happen to anyone else. Jordan DeMay is remembered by his family and friends as being kind, social, a friend to everyone, a devoted brother and son, the kind of person who was just always there for you. It's been over a year since Jordan died by suicide after falling victim to sextortion. His mom, Jennifer Buda, is still in a bit of shock as to what happened.
Had you had any idea that these conversations were happening, that he was involved in anything like this?
No.
It's a pain Jennifer wants to prevent other families from ever feeling. Jordan's story has changed the conversation around social media, but her work is just beginning.
Right now, social media companies have no liability for anything that happens on their platforms. There's no safety, security features in place for minors.
And after what happened to Jordan, Jennifer is adamant about changing that. She's been talking with federal lawmakers, garnering support for the Kids Online Safety Act.
This bill would provide safety features for minors. It would eliminate target advertising to minors. It will give parent notifications of what their children are doing online, and also hold social media accountable for the things that are happening on their platform.
Exactly how would it do this? It would require social media companies to enable the strongest safeguards as the default, protecting minors' information, limiting who can contact a minor's profile, restrict location gathering, and provide parents tools and reports to supervise activity. The bipartisan bill was first introduced in 2022 and has just recently received support from Michigan U.S. Senator Gary Peters, a promising step to getting the legislation passed.
Unfortunately, part of social media companies, the way they make their money is to get people very engaged and stay on social media as long as they possibly can, and then provide material that sometimes is destructive. And so that's why it's important for us to put some guardrails around social media.
Senator Peters says one of the priorities is to make sure these companies aren't just focused on making money, but on the safety of their users. He says he's heard from families across Michigan, including Jordan's mom. And it's time for action. And this bill, he says, is a good place to start.
This legislation will allow parents, for example, to have kind of a way to monitor what is happening on that social media platform, what their children are actually seeing, what they're engaged. Also, we'll put some warnings if new individuals get on a platform who are not a friend or may not be an acquaintance, but may be somebody who has some harmful intent.
The bill has also received support from hundreds of advocacy and technology groups. It has the support, it has our kids at the center, and like Senator Peters said, Jennifer agrees it's a start.
I think it's really great that we have these groups behind it. It's not everything that I would love to see happen with a reform in social media, but it's a really great step forward to start making those changes.
And for Jennifer, it's a way to make sure what happened to Jordan means something.
In the most tragic of situations, Jordan's life is saving lives.
A Senate committee unanimously passed the Kids Online Safety Act last year, but it stalled. This session, with some updates to the bill, lawmakers hope it gets to the president's desk, despite opposition from technology companies. In the meantime, we can all continue to talk to our kids about sextortion, protecting our privacy online, and being supportive if and when someone we know finds themselves in a difficult situation. If you or someone you know is having suicidal thoughts, call 988 for the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. We also have a list of resources available on uppermichigansource.com.